Hello, hello. Good morning here where I am. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever it is that you might be. My name is Paul, and I'm an alcoholic. I wanted to do a video, get another video done this morning, get a video done this week. I will be out of town visiting my mom for Thanksgiving over this weekend. So I wanted to get something up there. I know not that many of you guys are listening to these yet, but I want to keep the momentum. I wanted to start out my morning with doing something AA related. Start my day strong with some recovery program. Get my foundation down for the day, and get some momentum. Potentially get into some conscious contact with my higher power and read the doctor's opinion, right? The doctor's opinion. So we're going to hear what Dr. Silkworth's opinion on the disease of alcoholism. He studied it. We're going to hear his opinion, right? But so here I am. I'm trying to get in a little bit of a conscious contact with my higher power, right? And why do I want to do that? Well, it seems as if that I have found what that I have been given a spiritual solution for my disease of alcoholism, which is an interesting thing. AA calls it a spiritual malady, in addition to some other things, but they call it a spiritual malady. And if the solution for my problem with alcohol, my problem with being restless, discontent, and needing to put alcohol in me to feel okay is a spiritual solution, right? Then I wonder, are there spiritual solutions for other diseases? Or is alcoholism less of a disease and more of a spiritual malady? I find it real odd that I felt like I was missing something all of my life. And I found alcohol, I found marijuana, then I found harder drugs later, but I found those things and I didn't feel like I was missing something anymore. I put those things in me and I was okay. I wasn't missing something. That hole inside me filled up. I felt less empty. And then here I am, fast forward into recovery and a connection with a higher power and a connection with fellowship in the program. It fills that up. That empty hole inside, the same thing that drugs and alcohol filled, is now filled up by that, right? So it's an interesting thing that the alcohol and the drugs filled what now seems to be filled by a connection with a higher power and a fellowship, right? That they both fill that hole. Uh, I kind of guess that maybe all of us are looking for a connection with a higher power this entire time. And we just found alcohol and we found drugs quicker and easier than we found that, when it really wasn't what we were looking for. What we're looking for is a connection with a higher power, a fellowship, a tribe, right? This old Native American guy told me, he said some root word of spiritual spirit is connectivity of all things, right? So for me to get spiritual, what does that mean? That means for me to connect with a higher power, connect with a fellowship, connect with some friends, connect with family, which is what I'm going to be doing tomorrow night, flying to go visit my mom, connect with family, be there for her. I caused her a lot of stress. Now I get to make living amends, try to make her life better now, as if, to make up for having made her life more stressful in the past. Anyways, I have to get to work in about 1 hour. This video isn't going to be an hour long, but so we're going to jump into it. The doctor's opinion. This is the last of the pages that aren't numbered, that still have the Roman numerals on the bottom. So the last of the introduction. It's 8 pages long. Let's get into it. We'll look up some words on Google if we have to. Here we are. The doctor's opinion. We of Alcoholics Anonymous believe that the reader will be interested in the medical estimate of the plan of recovery described in this book. Convincing testimony must surely come from medical men who have had experience with the suffering of our members and have witnessed our return to health. A well-known doctor, chief physician at a national prominent hospital specializing in alcohol and drug addiction, gave Alcoholics Anonymous this letter. To whom it may concern, I have specialized in the treatment of alcoholism for many years. In late 1934, I attended a patient who, though he had been a competent businessman of good earning capacity, was an alcoholic of type I had come to regard as hopeless. In the course of this third treatment, he acquired certain ideas concerning a possible means of recovery. As part of his rehabilitation, he commenced to present his conception to other alcoholics, impressing upon them that they must do likewise with still others. This has become the basis of a rapidly growing fellowship, these men and their families. This man and over 100 others appear to have recovery. He's talking about Bill W. here. He's a competent businessman, a hopeless alcoholic, and here he is. He's going and helping other alcoholics and starting to recover, building the foundation for the program at Alcoholics Anonymous. I personally know scores of cases who were of the type with whom other methods had failed completely. These facts appear to be of extreme medical importance because of the extraordinary possibilities of rapid growth inherent in this group, that they may mark a new epoch in the annals of alcoholism. These men may well have a remedy for thousands of such situations. You may rely absolutely on anything they say about themselves, right? So here it is. This doctor is saying, hey, these guys are onto something. They're onto something here, right? So this is a doctor who studied it for years, and he's just like, oh, wow. I'm not able to help these guys, but whatever it is they've got going on here seems to be doing some things, doing some magic. The physician who, at our request, gave us this letter has been kind enough to enlarge upon his views in another statement which follows. In this statement, he confirms what we who have suffered alcoholic torture must believe, that the body of the alcoholic is quite abnormal as his mind, right? I didn't realize when I was younger and I started smoking weed and doing other things, I didn't realize that if I used some drugs, I would think about them for the entire week after I used them. I didn't realize that didn't happen for other people. I thought that was normal. So here we are. This is what we're getting to. The body of the alcoholic is quite abnormal as his mind is different. Other people don't have that issue where they obsess about it after they do it, right? It did not satisfy us to be told that we could not control our drinking just because we were maladjusted to life, that we were in full flight from reality or were outright mental defects, right? It didn't sit with us. That was the case. These things were true to some extent, in fact, to a considerable extent with some of us, but we are sure that our bodies were sickened as well. In our belief, any picture of the alcoholic which leaves out this physical factor is incomplete, right? So here's the, they talk about the allergy, right? The allergy to the body. Me, when I start, I can't stop. Something happens different in me. My body reacts different. My mind and my body react different. The doctor's theory that we have an allergy to alcohol interests us, right? As laymen, our opinion as to its soundness may, of course, mean little, but as ex-problem drinkers, we can say that his explanation makes good sense. It explains many things for which we cannot otherwise account, right? So the allergy, right? Basically, what I take out of the allergy thing is just that my body reacts different in a way which is bad for me. I don't break out in hives. That's not how this works. I use it as like a parallel analogy to speak of how I react to alcohol. Though we work out our solution on the spiritual as well as the altruistic plane, we favor hospitalization for the alcoholic who is very jittery and befogged. More often than not, it's imperative that a man's brain be cleared before he is approached, as he has then better, right? So before we move on to the next page, yeah. So alcohol detox is dangerous, right? If you're drinking really, really, really bad, if you start shaking when you stop, seizures can happen. It's dangerous, right? So if you need alcohol detox, go ahead, go to the hospital. Don't rely on spiritual solution for your detox. You need some medical assistance to get off of alcohol, off of benzos, yeah, opiates. Depends how how tough you are. Oof. Yeah. Anyways, let's roll. better chance of understanding and accepting what we have to offer. So get sober and then try to understand this stuff. Get sober and then dive in. The doctor writes, the subject presented in this book seems to be of paramount importance to those afflicted with alcohol addiction. I say this after many years' experience as a medical director of one of the oldest hospitals in the country treating alcoholic and drug addiction. There was, therefore, a sense of real satisfaction when I was asked to contribute a few words on a subject which is covered in such masterly detail in these pages. We doctors have recognized for a long time that some form of moral psychology was of urgent importance to alcoholics, but its implication presented difficulties beyond our conception. What with our ultra-modern standards, our scientific approach to everything, we are perhaps not well equipped to apply the powers of good that lay outside our synthetic knowledge. The scientific approach, right? I don't know. Let's keep going. Many years ago, one of our leading contributors to this book came under a care in the hospital, and while here, he acquired some ideas which he put into practical application at once. Later, he requested the privilege of being allowed to tell his story to other patients here, and with some misgiving, we consented. The cases we have followed through have been most interesting. In fact, many of them are amazing. The unselfishness of these men as we have come to know them, the entire absence of profit motive, and their community spirit is indeed inspiring to one who has labored long and wearily in the alcoholic field, right? We do this for fun and we do this for free. This is what I'm doing right now. I'm doing it for fun. I'm doing it for free. I do benefit, right? I do benefit with my own sobriety, my own emotional sobriety, my own spiritual points, my own spiritual fitness. But here we are. That's what we're doing. I'm doing it on YouTube. These guys going to the hospital and doing it. They believe in themselves and still more in the power which pulls chronic alcoholics back from the gates of death, right? So I believe in myself, but I am nothing without this program and without the power which pulled me back from the gates of death, right? It's amazing. It's amazing that happened. Of course, an alcoholic ought to be freed from his physical craving for liquor, and this often requires a definite hospital procedure before psychological measures can be of maximum benefit, right? So, freed from his physical craving, and this is detox, right? Requires detox. Requires, to go to a treatment center, to go to a hospital and detox off alcohol before you start doing this. We'll get down. We believe, and it's so suggested a few years ago, that the action of alcohol on these chronic alcoholics is a manifestation of an allergy, that the phenomenon of craving is limited to this class and never occurs in average temperate drinker, right? I did not, so because I've never been in anybody else's shoes, because I've never been in someone else's body and drank, I didn't realize that the way that I was reacting to alcohol and drugs was different than the person who wasn't an alcoholic. I did not know that. I did not know that my reaction was different when I was 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, whatever. I didn't know that. And because I didn't know that, it wasn't easily identifiable that I was an alcoholic. Now, I like to share with other people, if you use some cocaine on a Saturday and you think about cocaine Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, if that's you, that doesn't happen to a normal person. That doesn't happen to a normie, right? It doesn't. They're able to use it and put it down, and then on Monday morning they're thinking about what they're gonna have for lunch, the new project they're working on. Literally, it's a fleeting thought, just a memory, just something that they did over the weekend. Same thing as if I had a steak on Saturday, and on Monday I might have been like, oh, that was a good steak I had Saturday, but that's it. That's all the normie thinks about alcohol and drugs, right? Is, oh, that was a good go on Saturday. That's it, right? No obsession, no craving. So I didn't know that. These allergic types can never safely use alcohol in any form at all, drugs, and once have formed the habit and found they cannot break it, once having lost their self-confidence, their reliance upon human things, their problems pile up and them on them and become astonishingly difficult to solve, right? So here is where we end up at the end, right? At the end, before I get sober, my problems are particularly difficult to solve, and that's why I need help. I need recovery. I need people to help me get out of my mess because I've lost my self-confidence and my problems have piled up so much. If I couldn't handle life with less problems, now that I have all these problems from my alcoholism, from my addiction, I'm not I'm not going to be able to be able to handle that. That's why it's like you get trapped. You get trapped because your problems pile up so much that it becomes too much even for someone who wasn't an alcoholic to handle. But here we are, an alcoholic and have all those problems. That's why we need to reach out. We need to get help. We can't do it on our own. Frothy emotional appeal seldom suffices. The message which can interest and hold these alcoholic people must have depth and weight. In nearly all cases, their ideals must be grounded in a power greater than themselves if they are to recruit their lives, right? So in nearly all cases, their ideals must be grounded in a power greater than themselves if they are to create their lives. Right. The program's simple: clean house, trust God, help others. I tell newcomers, don't worry about trusting God. Just do the suggestions. 9 months from now, things will be different. Your opinion on that will be different if you have a problem with it. Just give it a go. You don't have to worry about that yet. If any feel that as psychiatrists directing a hospital for alcoholics, we appear somewhat sentimental, let them stand with us while on the firing line, seeing the tragedies, the desperate, despairing wives, the little children. Let the solving of these problems become a part of their daily work and even of their sleeping moments. And the most cynical will not wonder that we have accepted and encouraged this movement. We feel after many years of experience that we have found nothing which has contributed more to the rehabilitation of these men than the altruistic movement now growing up among them, right? So these doctors have watched people die. They've watched wives in despair. They've watched crying children. Dad is dying, mom is dying, why can't he just quit drinking? And these doctors throw their arms up, and I'm like, well, sorry, we can't help you, right? But they see this working, and they're excited about it. Men and women drink essentially because they like the effect produced by alcohol. The sensation is so elusive that while they admit it's injurious, they cannot, after a time, differentiate the true from the false. To them, this alcoholic life seems the only normal one. They are relentless, irritable, and discontent until they can again experience that feeling from the drink. Right? We drink because we like the effect produced by alcohol. I like the effect produced by alcohol, and outside of that, it gives me relief from the restless, irritable, and discontent I have. It's a perfect puzzle piece for me. It fits right in there so well. It gives me relief. Right? I rely on the program nowadays for the principles of the program, a new design for living. I get that same relief. All right. Unless they can again experience the sense of ease and comfort which comes at once by taking a few drinks which they see others taking with impunity. Yeah, I had a real bad anxiety in my 20s, and I remember a few times just being wrecked with anxiety, and I'm just not functioning. And I drove to the gas station, and I got two tall cans, and I chugged one of those down, and woo, like I can breathe again. I can breathe again. That sense of ease and discomfort is just, I just, and it was so sad that I was stuck in such a way that I needed something outside of myself just to be okay, despite there not being anything seriously wrong with my life. But that relief, not being able to feeling like you can't breathe and then getting that relief, it's really hard to fight that. After they succumbed to the desire again, as many do, as I did, and the phenomenon of craving develops, they pass through the well-known stages of a spree, emerging remorseful with a firm resolution not to drink again. This repeated over and over, and unless the person can experience an entire psychic change, there is very little hope of his recovery. Experience an entire psychic change, spiritual awakening, but it's just, I do not even understand what was going on back then for me. The way that I am nowadays is so different. It's so different. The psychic change. I'm so grateful for that, but I feel like that an alien parasite had attached itself to my brain and was causing the whole addiction alcoholism situation. I feel like that parasite has been ripped off of my brain. I'm free again. Oh, that was rough. That was rough. Real bad. Mind blown by the difference that I see here today, having worked a little bit of suggestion into my life from this program. On the other hand, and strange as this may seem to those who do not understand, once a psychic change has occurred, the very same person who seemed doomed, who had so many problems he despaired of ever solving them, suddenly finds himself easily able to control his desire for alcohol. The only effort necessary being that required to follow a few simple rules, a few simple suggestions. You guys heard me say this in one of the other videos. If all I have to do is take a few suggestions, live by a few principles, sign me up. So I do not have to have cravings anymore. Sign me up so I can take deep breaths without alcohol. You just have to follow simple rules. I'll do it. I'm surrendered to that, and that's all right. That's okay. It's not the life that maybe I had imagined, but I'm totally cool with it, just to avoid the incomprehensible demoralization that comes with drinking and using drugs, and then the despair, the restlessness, the irritableness. Ugh, ugh. I don't want that back. I don't want that back in my life. So, what are these simple rules this book is going to tell us? Men have cried out to me in sincere and despairing appeal. Doctor, I cannot go on like this. I have everything to live for. I must stop, but I cannot. You must help me. Faced with this problem, if a doctor is honest with himself, he must sometimes feel his own inadequacy. Although he gives all that is in him, it often is not enough. One feels that something more than human power is needed to produce the essential psychic change. Through the aggregate of recoveries resulting from a psychiatric effort is considerable, we physicians must admit we have made little impression upon the problem as a whole. Many types do not respond to the ordinary psychological approach, right? So this is doctors saying they haven't made an impact. Here we are, 2022, right? How's that Suboxone maintenance going for you? I don't know. It didn't go good for me. It didn't work out. We did it a few times. I've been on methadone too. I don't know. Band-Aids, they helped. Maybe they kept me alive. I'm not sure. I was extremely miserable still that entire time. I do not hold with those who believe that alcoholism is entirely a problem of mental control. I have had many men who had, for example, worked a period of months on some problem or business deal which was to be settled on a certain day favorable to them. They took a drink a day or so prior to the date, and then the phenomenal craving at once became paramount to all other interests, so that the important appointment was not met. These men were not drinking to escape, they were drinking to overcome a craving beyond their mental control. Fumbled it, right? Fumbled it. They took a drink a day prior to the date, right? Fumbled it. What's that movie, Flight, with Denzel Washington? He gets drunk right before that court date of his. It's exactly this. Maybe that wasn't going to go good for him, but like, fumbled it. Like, the day before something good or important is supposed to happen, or maybe I'm supposed to go meet my girlfriend's family, going on a boat, things like that. And here I am. I'm the one who does this, and I end up just a complete mess and embarrassed. There are many situations which arise out of the phenomenon of craving, which cause men to make the supreme sacrifice rather than continue to fight. The classification of alcoholics seems most difficult and in much detail is outside the scope of this book. There are, of course, the psychopaths who are emotionally unstable. We are all familiar with this type. They're always going on the wagon for keeps. They are over remorseful and make many resolutions but never a decision. Oh, well, this is kind of outdated in the wording. I'm working on my side E right now. I used to be an engineer. And I'm not anymore. But over the years, I took some psychology on the side. I'm working on my doctorate of psychology right now. This is, I don't know, old school. This is not, in my psychology student opinion, very accurate. But it's all right. It's all right. There's a type of man who is unwilling to admit that he cannot take a drink. He plans various ways of drinking. He changes his brand or his environment. There is the type who always believe that after being entirely free from alcohol for a period of time, he can take a drink without danger. There is a manic depressive type who is perhaps the least understood by his friends, about whom a whole chapter could be written. So there's different types of us. It all ends up face down, ass up. Alcohol 1, PJ 0. Alcohol 10, PJ 0. Drugs 10, PJ 0. Getting my butt kicked. Then there are types entirely normal in every respect except in the effect alcohol has upon them. They often are able, intelligent, and friendly people. Which one am I? All these and many others have one symptom in common. They cannot start drinking without developing the phenomenon of craving. This phenomenon, as we have suggested, may be the manifestation of an allergy which differentiates people and sets them apart as a distinct entity. It has never been, by any treatment with which we are familiar, permanently eradicated. The only relief we have to suggest is entire abstinence. We get entire abstinence, and with that, I get some relief, and then having worked the program, I get some more relief, right? This phenomenon suggests a manifestation of allergy. Sets us apart. So this sets me apart from other people. Kind of the allergies, once I start, I can't stop. The phenomenon of craving kicks in. Oh, this is bad, right? The obsession kicks in. So if I have a drink, the phenomenal craving kicks in, the allergy kicks in, I can't stop, I'm obsessing about it, and there I am again, so miserable without it that I need some more. Give me some more. This immediately precipitates us into a seething cauldron of debate, which much has been written pro and con, but among physicians, the general opinion seems that most chronic alcoholics are doomed. You're doomed. I'm a chronic alcoholic. I was doomed. What is the solution? Oh, so there's a solution. Oh, good. I'm not doomed. It scared me for a second. What is the solution? Perhaps I can best answer this by relating one of my experiences. About 1 year prior to this experience, a man was brought in to be treated for chronic alcoholism. He had but partially recovered from a gastric hemorrhage, and it seemed to be the case of a pathological mental deterioration. Rough shape. He had lost everything worthwhile in life and was only living, one might say, to drink. I can relate. I can respect that. He frankly admitted and believed that for him there was no hope. Following the elimination of alcohol, there was found to be no permanent brain injury. He accepted the plan outlined in this book. 1 year later, he called to see me, and I experienced a very strange sensation. I knew the man by name, and I partly recognized his features, but their all resemblance ended. From a trembling, despairing, nervous wreck had emerged a man brimming with self-reliance and contentment. I talked with him for some time, but was not able to bring myself to feel that I'd known him before. To me, he was a stranger, and so he left me. A long time has passed with no return to alcohol. Oof. This kind of gives me some emotions. Um, I was in rough shape. I was in rough shape when I got sober. I was in rough shape when I got sober, and I remember reading this, and like that it was bad, and like this gave me a little bit of hope. I really held on to this paragraph right here. I remember it now that I really held on to this paragraph because I needed this. I needed I needed to be completely unrecognizable. I needed to be completely unrecognizable because the way that I was, the shape that I was in, the shape my health and my body and my looks and my personality was in, it was just I needed exactly what this paragraph outlines, and I wanted it. I wanted it really, really bad. And everybody who sees me meets me and they say, PJ, I can't imagine you using alcohol. Well, I can't imagine you using drugs. I used drugs. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. And that is wild, right? So, gifts of the program. If this is you out there right now and you are totally wrecked, this is available for you, for me, for everybody. When I need a mental uplift, I often think of another case brought in by a physician prominent in New York. The patient had made his own diagnosis and decided his situation was hopeless, had hidden in a deserted barn, determined to die. He was rescued by a searching party and in desperate condition brought to me. Following his physical rehabilitation, he had a talk with me in which he frankly stated he thought the treatment was a waste of effort unless I could assure him, which no one ever had, that in the future he will have the willpower to resist the impulse to drink. His alcoholic problem was so complex and his depression so great that we felt his only hope would be through what we called moral psychology. We doubted if that would even have any effect. However, he did become sold on the ideas contained in this book. He had not had a drink for a great many years. I see him now and he is as fine a specimen of manhood as one could wish to meet, right? Similar situation as the last paragraph. So this is for you if you're like the hopeless, hope to die alcoholic, hope to die addict, right? Remember these guys. Remember these guys here. Remember me. Remember me. I earnestly advise every alcoholic to read this book through, and through perhaps he came to scoff, he may remain to pray. I earnestly advise every alcoholic to read this book through and through, and though perhaps he came to scoff, he may remain to pray. That's the doctor's opinion right there, friends. That's the doctor's opinion on the disease of alcoholism. Dr. Silkworth, an important man in the world. All right, friends, I'm going to leave you to reflect on that, meditate on it. Have a good day. Until next time.